The Boy Who Defied Odds, Alex's story. My name is Alex, and I've always lived in the heart of the city. Life here is fast, loud, and unforgiving. I spend my days at Mr. Grant's cobbler shop, fixing shoes while the sound of the streets buzzes outside. My hands are always sore, and the smell of leather never leaves my clothes. But that's not what hurts the most. What hurts is looking out of the workshop's dusty window and seeing kids my age, laughing, talking, carrying books, going to school, something I can only dream about. When I was younger, I used to ask my parents if I could go to school. But after they passed away, that dream seemed to disappear. Mr. Grant hired me, not because he wanted to help, but because he needed cheap labor. He would yell at me if I ever slowed down or looked distracted. "Eyes on your work, Alex. You're here to work, not dream," he would bark, and I would nod, keeping my head down even when my heart screamed for something more. But things changed one evening. I was sitting outside the shop, watching some kids share books and talk excitedly about what they learned that day. My chest tightened with longing, and I didn't notice the old man watching me from across the street. Mr. Collins, the bookseller, walked over and handed me an old, crumpled newspaper. "Every story starts somewhere, son," he said, his voice gentle and kind. I held that newspaper as if it were a treasure, and that night, under the dim streetlight, I tried to read every word. It was hard. The letters were jumbled and my head hurt from trying to understand, but I didn't give up. Days turned into weeks, and I made that my nightly ritual, reading under the streetlight until my eyes couldn't stay open. But Mr. Grant wasn't blind. One day, he saw me with a book and snatched it from my hands. "You think reading will feed you? If I catch you slacking off again, you're out of here." His words were sharp, cutting into my hope, but they couldn't extinguish it. I couldn't let them. One day, as I was teaching some younger kids how to spell on the pavement using chalk, I met Miss Emma. She was a teacher, and she saw me with the chalk, surrounded by the kids. "Do you want to learn more?" she asked, holding out a book. My eyes stung with tears I refused to let fall. I nodded, and that was the start of something I had only ever dreamed of. Miss Emma started teaching me after her school hours. The lessons were small, but each one felt like a gift. I learned to read better, and soon I could write my name without stopping to think. It wasn't easy. There were nights when I couldn't keep my eyes open after a long day at the shop, and mornings when Mr. Grant's shouts made me doubt myself. But when I thought about giving up, I remembered the kids who looked up to me, the way their eyes lit up when I taught them something new. One evening, there was a community event, and Miss Emma asked me to read a poem I had written. My hands shook, and my voice cracked, but I did it. I spoke about dreams, about never giving up, about the boy who worked at the cobbler's shop but carried a heart full of hope. When I finished, there was silence, and then applause. It felt unreal, like a dream I didn't want to wake up from. I saw Mr. Collins in the crowd, his eyes warm with pride. That moment wasn't just mine. It belonged to everyone who had believed in me when the world said I was just another street boy, destined to mend shoes forever. But I knew now, deep down, that I was more than that. I was Alex, the boy who defied the odds, the boy who turned whispers of hope into a voice that others could hear.